Hello and welcome back to the tutorial series for Kerbal Space Program I've been making. Today we're going to do a suborbital hop with this contract, Escape the Atmosphere. So we've already unlocked plenty of stuff here. It doesn't really matter if you've not unlocked these yet. Even if you've just unlocked basic rocketry and engineering 101, you should be able to do it. So we'll just go to the vehicle assembly building. In here, we'll just make a new craft. You already know all this. Command pod, stick a parachute on it. But here, now we go to coupling and we get the decoupler. So we're able to pop the command pod off of the rest of the craft. And here we'll put the science on it. Now we've got three types of science: the goo canister, the thermometer, and the barometer. We still do have the crew report and the EVA report, but yeah, we'll just consider that later. For now, we'll just add 3 of these science goo reports back. And we'll also have a barometer and a thermometer. Now, the difference between the goo report and the thermometer and barometer is that if you right click on it, you can see here it says science experiment, collectible data, rerunnable. These two, the thermometer and barometer, are rerunnable, which means you can run it multiple times without having to reset it with a scientist. Now, the reason I've put multiple of them on anyway is because currently we've only got a level 1 astronaut complex, and so they can't go on EVA when they're not landed at Kerbin. So I've just put 3 of them on so we can gather science from the upper atmosphere and space and wherever we land. So now we're gonna use a liquid fuel tank. You can use the thumper, but because some people might not have unlocked it yet, we'll just use liquid fuel. We'll use the swivel engine, and if you've only got these tanks, that's perfectly fine. For now, I'm going to use these. You can just fill in the gaps. So, one of these is equal to 2 of these. So if you just double whatever I'm doing with 2 of these tanks, then you should be perfectly fine. I'm going to add 1, 2, and then... So the way I'm doubling it like this is you can alt-click stuff to duplicate it. Right now, we're just gonna do 4. That should be fine. So that should be 8 of these smaller tanks. Currently, that gives us... if we go into Delta V tools here, and you click on this little orange bar here, we can see the thruster-weight ratio, and we can see everything here. Right now, as we'll ascend, it looks like we'll have plenty of Delta V in order to reach suborbital trajectory. We'll just call this a skipper 2. We'll save it. And I like Jeb, but for now we're gonna get Valentina to pilot just because I think she's nice. So that should be good. But because of the height of this rocket, I am going to add 3 fins to the bottom of it, just for some stability. I'll add 4. So if you press X or Shift X in this VAB, down here, the symmetry, you can either decline it by holding Shift X and pressing X, well, holding Shift, pressing X, or you can ascend it by pressing X alone. And what this does is it just makes it so you can add symmetrical parts instead of having to add one at a time like this, which I used to do for a while before I learned that. So here we'll just add on those fins. And if we go to this engineer's report here, we can see we still have 21 parts here. And so the reason I'm checking that right now is because if you're following along using these like smaller fuel tanks, you will be at 25 because it'll have an extra 4 fuel tanks. Like that. So that should work. This will be plenty enough. It might even be one extra 2 fuel tank, but you can never have too much fuel. Especially in normal mode where you get plenty of money, you won't be too conscious about how much you waste. So let's just save that. Double check your staging. Always. I know I didn't talk about this last video because it didn't really matter. But always double check your staging. We see here, it'll first launch the engine, which is good. Then we'll decouple, and then the parachute will deploy, which is perfect. So we'll just launch. Okay, so out here on the launch pad, we can see Valentina's here. And for now, we're going to quickly check these barometer and thermometer, because we haven't done them on the launch pad yet. And then we'll get Valentina out to grab them. Then we'll board. We'll activate Stability Assistant, and then we'll launch after putting our throttle to max. Now that we're in the air, we're going to use the barometer and thermometer again, but we're not going to use the goo because we've already got goo signs from here. We're going to pitch the craft a little over to the left because I've already landed in the ocean, so I have signs from there. I want signs from the green wings over here. Right now we're going a bit quick, so I'm just going to throttle down slightly with control to about 2/3 throttle. That should be good. It's going to continue to pitch. If we were trying to achieve orbit in this, we would be pitching a lot more than this. This is quite a high gravity turn. And when you're trying to reach orbit, you want a shallow one. Okay, here we go. We're in the upper atmosphere, so I'm going to run the pressure data, the thermometer, a goo canister, and a crew report. So here we'll just turn off our throttle so then we don't keep hammering ourselves against the atmosphere. We'll collect all of those. And then we'll keep going up until we're in space. I think I've cut my throttle a little bit short, so I'm just going to turn it back on. Pitch over slightly so we don't land on those mountains, because that could be dangerous. And I'm just going to keep throttling at about 2/3 until I'm sure we'll get out of the atmosphere. If we look here, that's plenty high enough, so we'll be good. Let's just quickly time warp till we're out of the atmosphere. And there we go, we're out. So that's our contract complete. They don't really care if we come down safe or not, but that's okay, we'll just plan to anyway. Here I'm just running all the signs again in a different section. And now, I would run a crew report, but we've already done one in the lower atmosphere, so we'll have to do one when we come up here for the orbit contract later. It's okay if you don't get all the science instantly. Hello, Mon. You'll get it all later, so there's not really too much problem worrying about it now. We have plenty of fuel left in the tank, but this is a perfectly okay time to just stage your decoupler and disconnect from the tanks. But for me, I'm going to time warp ahead till we're re-entering the atmosphere. Okay, we're re-entering the atmosphere, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to aim at the retrograde marker on the nav ball, and I'm going to throttle up and burn all of our fuel. Now that we're out of fuel, I've lost some velocity, so re-entry will be safer. But we've used all our fuel, we're going to decouple from the tank now and keep pointing at that retrograde marker. So at this point, you can probably turn off Stability Assist if you want, because how we've designed this, the command pod will automatically align with the retrograde marker when in the atmosphere. And that's good, because we want to slow down. If it was pointing forwards, we wouldn't slow down. Getting a few re-entry flames here now. And we're in the lower atmosphere now. So now that the air's thickening up, we're slowing down quite heavily, which is good, because we can't go super quick if we want to deploy our parachute. There we go. We can see on the left now here, the parachute marker was red, but now it's white. That means it's safe to deploy. So we'll press spacebar. Parachute has come out, and it's pretty routine from here. So I'll just time walk ahead. Oh, our fuel tanks hit the ground and just blew up, so don't worry about that. Oh, parachute is fully deployed. Now, at the top here, you can do this in new versions of Kerbal Space Program. You never used to be able to, but you can click here, and it changes our altitude from above sea level to above the ground. So we can see we're 300 meters from hitting the ground, so we're just going to time warp ahead. And slow back down. And touchdown! Valentina is home safe. Valentina's gonna hop out now, probably kiss the ground a bit because, you know, you have to. She's gonna take some of the science out of one of these thermometers and barometers. You don't need to do it out of all of them because they're automatically recovered. And we'll take an EVA report. I don't think a spacesuit was entirely necessary to get here, was it? Probably not, but it's very cool, isn't it? We're gonna take the science out of the command pod again. We're gonna hop in. Oop. I'm gonna store the science, actually. I don't know why she climbed up it. We're gonna do the little jump EVA report thing again. You don't have to do it, but I just do it, because why not? You then climb back in, and then we'll run science one last time. Crew report, goo, barometer, thermometer. That's all the science run. We'll recover the vessel. And there we go. 108 science earned. We'll quickly go into the R&D department one last time before the end of this episode, and then we'll take the orbital contract. So we'll take stability, because why not? It doesn't really matter how you unlock these. Just keep in mind that if you barrel down one end of the tech tree, it's a lot less efficient than smoothly going through all of it together, because it's meant to work together. You might have all the science equipment in the world, but it doesn't mean anything if you can't get into space. So I'm just gonna unlock basic science for the science tuner. This is one of the most important science equipments in the game, because it gives you so much science. We're now gonna go and get advanced rocketry too, because I like it and I think it's good. So that's all we can unlock for now, because as we get high in the tech tree, the prices for these increase. So keep that in mind. We're then going to go into mission control and take the orbit Kerbin contract. Should be pretty easy. And that'll be where we'll leave this episode for now. Next episode, we'll construct an orbital vehicle to achieve orbit of Kerbin. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you later.